Hi, this is Alan from Alpus Group, and I'm going to talk to you today about how to make money from commercial to residential conversions, and also how to triple your profits by converting to serviced accommodation where suitable. We'll cover this in a future webinar. So why commercial to residential? Well, there's a surplus of commercial property at the moment, too many offices, too many retail premises. Also, the value of commercial property is based on the tenancy value. So high quality tenants attract a higher value than low quality tenants, meaning that the risk of a tenant going under, it reflects on the value of the lease. There's also been a change of buying habits affecting the high street and secondary shopping precincts. The recession is putting pressure on prices of commercial property, and there's a reset in process at the moment. Residential properties prices are more robust and are continuing to rise. And also need to consider that residential property may be refinanced and held for the long term. So if you're a property investor, you can refinance after redevelopment and rent out the residential units that you're producing from your development. So how much money is there really to be made? Permitted development reduces the risk of planning refusal because you've got that right to develop granted by the government, and essentially unless there's been a countermeasure put in place, such as an Article 4 by the local authority, then you have that permitted development rights indefinitely. The structure and envelope exist. This is assuming that we're talking about an office or a retail premises or storage above a shop. The structure is there, the envelope is there, so there's significant cost and time saving compared with building new construction. As soon as permitted development is approved, you can refinance at the higher value of residential. So if you submit your permitted development for confirmation to the local authority, as soon as they replied after that 56-day period, then you've got your permitted development rights and you can refinance at the higher value, assuming you're doing a residential conversion. And you need to choose the best residential areas in order to maximize the difference between low purchase price of commercial property before conversion and the higher residential values after conversion. So how much does it cost and what is the margin? So the figures I'm going to give here are just illustrative because the values vary significantly between geographical areas. These are just typical ratios. So we will assume that the cost of purchase of the commercial should be below £300 per square foot. I mean, as low as possible. But what you tend to find is that in high residential value areas, the commercial property is not going to be significantly low. It's going to be proportionately low. So the conversion cost would typically be in the region of £150 per square foot. And so your sales value, in order to make a profit, would need to be above £550 a square foot. So that would mean that in this example, you get a profit margin of £100 a square foot. So you've got the commercial cost of purchase, 300, plus the conversion costs, and that's 450. The sales typically is going to be 550 plus, so the profit margin is typically £100 a square foot. Now, that is an oversimplification because I haven't taken account of solicitors' costs and stamp duty and tax and consultants' fees and also finance costs. So bear in mind that all these costs need to come out of the margin that you have on any project. So it's very important to accurately calculate your costs of conversion and finance costs and be sure of your residential sales values before you firm up on that offer price to secure the site. So where to start? Every project is different, especially with commercial to residential, and it needs to be appraised individually. So you should consider the location of the property. Is it suitable for conversion? Are there likely to be noise issues with regard to the premises above and the ground floor activity? What highways considerations are there, and parking? What is the purchase cost of the commercial property? What are the conversion costs? Design and construction costs and fees to the local authority need to take into account all of these things, including sales fees if you're selling through an estate agent, finance costs, resale values. They've all got to be appraised for each project individually, because every commercial to residential conversion is different. So what we do at Alpus, we've got a 5-step property development success process, and we identify prospect sites. We calculate the feasibility of the projects, assuming that there's a certain number of residential units going to be produced. We do a preliminary design, we carry out a cost feasibility, and just ensure that the site is the right prospect. There aren't any constraints such as parking or highways constraints which would make it non-feasible as a commercial to residential conversion site. We'll prove that feasibility on the basis of our preliminary design. We'll take into account all the likely costs, and we'll be absolutely certain before we put in the offer to purchase the price that we can make money from that development. In some cases, if there's a risk that permitted development may not be granted, then we would make a conditional offer to purchase. So this is taking out an option on the purchase of the site subject to planning permission. Depending on your exit strategy, sales and marketing may be an early feature of your development before you've even got underway with the detailed design and construction. You need to consider your exit and whether you can sell these units off plan as one option, or just how you're going to market them and who you're going to market them to. Marketing on social media all needs to be organised, visuals prepared in advance of the works being completed. And then the detailed design and construction is the process of converting from the commercial to the residential. It's a straightforward process, but it involves a lot of different parties, such as contractors, subcontractors, and of course the designers who are designing the work. Specialists may have design items to take into account. Lifts is a big consideration if you're putting a lift into a building to serve multi-story dwellings. And these sort of things have a very long lead time, and they involve a lot of coordination. There's interfaces with structural engineer, and surveys will need to be taken of the existing building, and essentially a lot of cost involved in this sort of conversion, involving specialist things like lifts. Or the other sort of scenario you could imagine is where you have floors being added on to existing buildings, which will take a lot of investigation and survey work, and a lot of design work and planning of how to actually carry out this sort of operation. Ideally, you'd want to get as much of the work carried out in the factory off-site as possible, rather than doing on-site work such as wet trade, brickwork and block work and so on. Far better to have a prefabricated unit which you can bring to the site and crane into place onto pre-prepared pads as foundations. So why listen to me? You can work it out for yourself what to do. Well, I'm a construction manager with many decades of property development and construction experience, working for contractors, clients and consultants on projects from the smallest to the largest in the UK and also internationally. And I have experienced quite a lot of different sorts of construction, ranging from infrastructure projects to refurbishments, like Dorchester Hotel refurbishment was one that I participated in. Here is another Hyde Park residence luxury serviced accommodation, which was a conversion of a listed building into 18 luxury flats, and you can see the superb quality of the finishes there. Not every job is like this, of course. Not every job has the budget, but this is the sort of finishes that can be achieved. So good design matters, and so does good quality construction, which needs to be organised and it needs to be managed. So buildings are made to last. You need to get things right first time, and to quality, to budget and to time schedule. Quality assurance and control is essential within the design process and also the construction process. And health and safety is mandatory, it's not optional. You need to ensure that you have health and safety measures in place for your site. So when you assess the number of designers, contractors, subcontractors and specialist suppliers involved in a typical project, there are a lot of moving parts that need coordination. I wrote a book about my experience of a large number of projects that I've been involved in throughout my working life, and I've identified from my experience 20 key factors for project success. These are the 20 key factors, and you will find that these apply to any project, no matter how small or large, to a degree. Obviously, some of them are less important on smaller projects, but if you conform with these factors, then you will not actually find that your project goes wrong. It's when one or more of these things are actually not in place or not properly applied, then you find that there are problems with the results of your project. You get overruns on budget or time, or there are quality problems, safety problems, etc. So we'll have a quick look through the 20 key factors. So the first one is a clear and concise project brief or remit. It sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many projects start off without a clear project remit or brief, and then there is dismay when budgets start to overrun because things that are done are not originally budgeted for. So the second thing to look at is risk assessment and contingency. And we always look at risk from the outset, and we assign a contingency amount that reflects the level of risk on the project. It's not just a 5% or a 10% basic contingency allowance. It's a contingency allowance that reflects the level of risk for the project. As you can imagine, some conversion projects do have risks, particularly those where you've got neighbouring structures, neighbouring businesses that are staying in existence, where you have to make provision for access for them, decanting operations. All these sort of things need to be planned and need to be budgeted for. So item 3 is finance and funding, and your funding should be realistic for the requirements for the project, including the risk assessment and the contingency amount. You don't want to be in a position where you haven't got the funds to actually finish the scope of works that you plan to carry out. Item 4, the site is available and accessible. Sounds obvious again, but you'd be surprised how many owners don't have all of their sites in place to give to the contractor. Now, you can give a contractor phased access to a site, but you need to be absolutely certain that you can give him the site in full on the date you promise. Otherwise, you're fairly certain to expect claims from the contractor and thus additional costs, which probably won't be included in your budget. So they're going to come off your bottom line. Statutory permissions are in place. That's usually planning permission and building control permission. Straightforward, but sometimes planning permission can take longer to achieve than you would like. So you need to provide for this in your budget and your timescale. Special protection measures and party wall agreements, item 6. Protecting utilities. Where utilities cross your site, there may need to be diversions carried out or protection measures. Item 8, enabling or advanced works. This may be demolition of existing buildings on site. Things that can be carried out in advance without hindering the main contractor's work and while you complete your design for the project. Item 9, to identify the appropriate contracting strategy. This is very important because you need to ensure that designers are appointed in due time and with the responsibility to produce the drawings for the client if a traditional approach is to be adopted. Alternatively, you may be suggesting a design and build contract, which puts the onus on the contractor to complete the designs. The client is only obliged to complete a preliminary design and specify his employer's requirements. Another alternative is to have a construction management arrangement where there's no main contractor as such, but there are a series of design and works contractors who carry out the work managed by the construction manager. Item 10 is a fully complete, coordinated and buildable design. So this is very important, as if there are design problems, then usually it will have an impact on the contractor unless these can be resolved very quickly and amicably. To ensure that there's quality assurance and quality control measures, item 11, absolutely essential. Item 12 is building information management and modelling, more and more important with computer-aided design and drawings. Contracts and collaboration. You need to ensure that all your contractors are obliged to collaborate with other contractors on the site and with you. It sounds again obvious, but without collaboration, it will affect the time scale of your project. Health and safety is mandatory. You've got to conform to the Health and Safety at Work Act, the RIDDOR requirements for reporting accidents and diseases, and you've got to comply with the construction design and management regulations. So all of these need to have people appointed to fulfill the duties. We also have stakeholder management, which is essential just to make sure that all the parties involved in the project are fully informed at the time that they need to be informed about what's going on. Communications and protocols are absolutely essential to ensure that everyone is informed in the right manner and at the right time. Progress reports on schedule and budget are essential to see whether you're actually meeting your targets or not. And progress meetings are very good forum for face-to-face discussion about what is going on, why things aren't the way they should be, and what is going to be done about rectifying the situation. So interfaces and interface management are also essential, especially if you've got very complex works involving multiple designers and coordination of those designs. And over and above everything else, leadership is essential, because no matter what deficiencies there are in all the other factors, you need to have a culture of decision making, so that problems don't fester, they're resolved quickly, and things are moved on towards completion efficiently. So what options do you have for your commercial to residential conversion? Should you appoint a project manager to sort out all the issues? The cost is likely to be significant. If it's a consultancy or even a freelance, will be £5,000 a month. So this comes off your profit margin. Or you can do it yourself and you can learn on the job. You can save the fees of appointing the project manager, but you may lose more money and time by making mistakes because of things you don't know. So there's another option which you could take up, which is to progress your project with support from Alpus. We'll offer you an 8-week property development success course valued at £1,997, plus bonuses which include a one-to-one 1-hour call with me to discuss your own project and formulate a strategy to implement it. That's valued at £250 nominally for the time. Could be worth a lot more to you in terms of giving your project the right direction and strategy for implementation. 3 months of email support from me personally, that's valued at £750, and a desktop review of your project by me, that's valued at £1,000. So if you would like to subscribe to this today on this webinar, then we'll make a webinar offer of the Property Development Success course for only £397, and we go through in this course over 8 weeks the following modules. It follows the 5-step property development success process. So it's identification of sites and prospects. Module 2, preliminary design and feasibility. Module 3, funding and cash flow. Module 4, site acquisition and planning approval. Module 5, marketing and sales. Module 6, detailed design and construction. Module 7, system building. Module 8, management and control systems. And as I mentioned, we will include the full course plus the 3 bonuses. That's a one-to-one 1-hour call with me to discuss your project and formulate a strategy to implement it. That's valued £250. 3 months of email support from me personally, that's valued £750. And a desktop review of your project by me, that's valued at £1,000. And in return, what we would like is your commitment to give us a review of our property development success course. And if you'd like to take advantage, then just click on the link below and let us know that you wish to take advantage of this offer, which is only available on this webinar. So if you want to talk to us at any time, we are able to solve any property problem, no matter what it is. We're based in Hampshire in the UK and in Slovenia. We operate all over the UK and in Europe. There's my phone number there, +44 333 224 1257, or +44 7539 141 257. You can email me, Alan at Alpus Group, or you can schedule a call with me on calendly.com/AlanJE, and our website is www.alpusgroup.com. Thanks for your time, and look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.